Okay, it's okay. Well, everybody's gonna have the opportunity, so to change your mind.
I remember. Bob would come.
Good morning, everybody. It's just after 11, so we'll begin. My name is Patty Lynch, and on behalf of my father, Pat, and the entire Lynch family, I'd like to welcome all of you. And on behalf of Gregory and David and the entire Schelesky family, thank you so much for being with them here today. Today's service is not going to be overly formal. We're basically going to give those in the room an opportunity, if you wish, to share a memory or a thought or a story. No one's obligated, but everyone's encouraged if you've got the courage to come up here and share a brief thought, or you can stand where you are and project your voice if you're capable. Before we begin, it might be smart to turn off your cell phone, or at least silence it so it doesn't interrupt us. I'm going to begin by reading her obituary, which was well done, and it sets the tone for a reflection on a beautiful life. And then when I'm done, as I mentioned, anyone who wishes to say a few things is welcome to do so. Madeline Schelesky passed away peacefully at home, surrounded by family, on July 31st, 2024 in Troy, Michigan. She was born October 2nd, 1934, to parents Alexander and Wanda Uzinski in Buffalo, New York. A caring, loving, and devoted mother and grandmother, she will be dearly missed and fondly remembered forever in the hearts of all those who knew her. Her friends meant the world to her, and she was eternally grateful for all of them. She was an extraordinary woman with a great sense of humor, and she has so much love in her heart for every single one of us. It was a great pleasure and honor to get to know her and to be a part of her journey in this life. Some of us would have loved to have met her years ago to have more time together. She has a special place in our hearts where she will live forever. She is survived by her twin sister, Madeline, of Fort Erie, Ontario, her two sons, Gregory and David, and their spouses, 4 grandchildren, Eric, Kyle, Leighton, and Mia, and 3 great-grandchildren, Marco, Josephine, and Ethan. She is preceded in death by her husband, Kenneth, and her sister, Marion. So at this time, if anyone wants to come forward, you're welcome to do so. And I always tell people better to do 2 or 3 minutes instead of 20 or 30. We'll have to get the hook and out, but we've got time now if you want to share anything. Thank you. Somebody has to be brave and go for it.
Hi, I'm Margaret, and I formerly owned Kim's Restaurant, and that's how I met Maddie, kind of. But then after I met Maddie at the restaurant, we became fast friends, because I found out that she's actually our neighbor down the street. And then throughout the many years, I finally found out her son is Gregory, Troy police officer, who frequent our restaurant. And like I didn't know all these connections until years down the road. But my mom and Maddie used to share special times together. Mom was a little bit older, and she passed away a few years ago. And Mom didn't speak English, and she was hard of hearing. But Maddie was always fun. Always, we only live about maybe 4 houses apart, would you say?
About that, yeah.
And they would walk down and meet in the middle. They're old, they move slow. But they were fast friends. I mean, Mom was an avid gardener, and Maddie loves flowers, and Mom loved flowers. And, they talk about things like that, even though, I mean, Mom didn't speak a lot of English, but somehow they were able to communicate. And then, you know, I'm one of those friends that probably wanted to share memories with Madeline a long time ago, but unfortunately, it wasn't until about maybe 20 years ago that we finally had the opportunity to meet and talk. And we would talk about our health, our eyes, and so on, because we have mutual friends that worked at a restaurant that share problems like Maddie had. And Maddie had like a condition called atrial fib, which I share that with her because of my husband. And my very dear friend and also worker had problem with her eyes, similar with Maddie. So a lot of time we would talk about medical problems. And we became each other's support because it wasn't easy. And I just wish her a good journey home to be with the Heavenly Father, because she really was a very, very generous and good-hearted soul. And I'm just so fortunate to have met her and her extended family, of course. So anyway, that's all I have to say. I kept it short.
You did a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you. I didn't know that Kim's legendary place. Yeah. Is there anyone else that would like to share anything? If so, you're welcome to. You got anything? You sure? Okay.
I know we just cried.
It's fine. We got it all.
Help you with.
The ball is rolling.
Come on, Susie. Thank you, Kim, for going first. Make it funny, Susie. Okay, we need some laughter.
I'm cousin Susie. My mom was Aunt Madeline's twin. We were reminiscing the last few days, and it was kind of funny. They had some ways they were so opposite, and some ways they were identical. And I'm trying to remember, I didn't take notes, I didn't know I was gonna do this. But I'm not shy. So they both liked extra gravy on their mashed potatoes. They both liked their food very hot. It had to be at the right temperature. Beth might help me think of a few similarities. Go ahead.
Eggs. Sure, her eggs had to be so hot.
Yeah. And they had some differences though. Like, I found out over the years, Aunt Madeline had tons of friends. And my mom was the more quiet one. I didn't take after my mom. But it's like she wasn't very sociable, and it was because my father was very sociable, so mom was kind of the mousy one, I think, yeah. My mother really wanted to be here. She's in a wheelchair now, but she's doing pretty well. But she was so disappointed that she couldn't come here. I know there was something else I wanted to say, and I know this is on video from my mom, so I better think of something. Yeah, it's difficult to see someone that looks so much like my mother. And if anyone, most of you saw all the boards where they used to be so identical. We were saying when we were kids, and the Scheleskys would come to visit, we'd kind of get the twins mixed up. And Greg would go, "Mom, I'm not your mom." I don't know, can you think of anything else we talked about, Beth, just to help me out? They were also different. Aunt Madeline was, like I said, more sociable and loved to talk on the phone. And unfortunately, my mother was so quiet, she didn't really talk on the phone much. So they probably didn't keep in touch quite as much, you know, as they could have. But my mother could never think of things to say. But I think that Madeline could fill in enough.
She carried the conversation. She carried the conversation.
Okay, well, I feel really bad for my cousins and relatives, but I'm really glad I could be here to see everyone and to say goodbye for my mom. Okay, here comes that thing.
No, you were doing a great job.
No, I didn't have any notes or anything.
Anybody else? Last chance. Those were two good ones. Okay, come on.
Yeah, I didn't have anything prepared either. you know, I feel like I spent the last 35 to 40 years of my life terrorizing my mom. As she grew older, she became afraid of just about everything, it seemed like. If I told her I was going on the highway on 696, she would freak out. If I went up north, if we went on vacation and did parasailing, she would just gasp and be in awe. I mean, when we were kids, you know, if Greg and I were just gonna cross a lake on a boat and go to the beach, I think she lived in terror until we came back, and it just became worse and worse. And I got to the point where I almost felt like I couldn't tell her what I was doing on these trips, because I tend to like to experience life and do things that might be a little risky. And you know, my mother was actually very, very private too. Greg and the people in the room here probably know so much more about my mom's life, because she did not share a lot of things with Greg and I, which is fine, right? There's no issue with that. Unfortunately, it just doesn't leave us with a ton of stories. So if anyone else in the room has something, please feel free to stand up. We would probably love to hear some stories that we don't know. She had a great life, a great run. You know, she was dealt a rough hand. My father dying when I was 17. I don't know what the math is there, 38 years ago. Thank you everyone for coming. We appreciate it. And please, anyone else, feel free to stand up and. Okay.
So you all know she was a character. My work schedule was very different over the years, night shift, and just all different things. So my sleep was different than most people. So she would just randomly show up at my house when I was sleeping, or she could not grasp my schedule. So even though I was on the same schedule for years, I'm just gonna show up at this time. And she'd wake me up and I'd be cranky. And so I told her, call me before you ever come over. So she did. So she calls me, says, I'm gonna come over. I'm like, okay. And I look out the kitchen window and she's sitting in the street in her car. Calls me. That's just the type of stuff she did all the time. I'm sure other people have good stories like that. And yeah, anytime I went near her, she would, oh, you're gonna drive all the way there? Yeah.
In the snow, in the rain.
Yeah. But apparently, we don't know a lot of what she did. I didn't have anything prepared, but that's all. Just an example of her, and thank you for coming.
Those are all nice. Unless somebody really wants to go, we're going to conclude with a prayer, and then I'll give everybody some information on how we'll proceed. So let's bow our heads. Heavenly God, we offer you thanks and praise for the life of your faithful servant. We thank you for all the blessings that you bestowed upon her and through her in this life. We thank you especially for her love and devotion as a wife, a mother, a grandmother, a sister, and a friend to so many people. We ask that you welcome her home, that you reunite her with those who went before her, and in a special way we ask that you comfort those who give her back to you, especially those gathered here today, as they give her back to you with faith, hope, confidence, and love. Confident in your love for her and for all of us, we pray in the way we have been taught together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. So everyone, that concludes our service here at the funeral home. I want to reiterate the family's gratitude to each of you for being with them. And I want to let you know that what's going to happen this afternoon is the immediate family members are going to go out very briefly to Whitechapel to witness the committal. She'll be buried there next to her husband. And then everyone's to meet at Carrabba's Restaurant, which is on 16 Mile, just east of Crooks. So right between Crooks and I-75 on the north side, correct? Yeah, Carrabba's Restaurant, Italian restaurant. That's where a reception will be held in her memory. So we're running a little ahead of schedule. What I'd encourage is for everyone here to take the next 5 or 10 minutes to pay your final respects. You can visit with one another if you're not going to make it to the restaurant. Then the family's going to go ahead to the cemetery. That'll only be about 20 minutes. And then everybody meet at the restaurant at about 12 noon, okay? If you have any questions about any of that, don't hesitate to see one of us. But again, take your time saying goodbye here, and then get to the restaurant about 12 noon for the reception, okay? Thank you all so much. You can stand and we don't have to rush out here. And I'll come back in a few minutes and kind of get people moving.
Nice to meet you.
The other one. What? Bob.
Bob,
Yeah.
oh, that was Bob?
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a Sunday.
They had a Sunday.
Yes.
Oh,
Nicholas,
maybe,
yeah.
maybe that's
He was
why,
my
but
cousin.
anyway,
My cousin, yeah.
Very
Yes.
nice.
So you live in New York?
Roscommon. No, I was gonna say Bad Oaks. I knew it was up there somewhere.
Yeah, so we all lost our jobs.
Yes, yes, yes.